All right, strap in everyone, because today we are going deep on something really interesting.
Oh, yeah.
We're looking at walking in the footsteps of faith, memoirs, and the sustainability journey. A memoir, but really more like a masterclass in sustainability.
I like that. A masterclass.
Yeah, and it's written by Professor Dr. Denison Jayasooria.
Okay.
And what makes this book even cooler is it was actually launched to celebrate his 70th birthday.
Wow.
And the book itself, it reflects on a whole decade of his work, a
Yeah.
decade of him working in sustainability.
10 years. That's impressive.
Yeah, and when you look at Professor Denison's background, he didn't just kind of pop up one day as Mr. Sustainability Champion.
Right.
He's got this super diverse background. We're talking sociology, community work, governance, academia, even faith.
Oh, wow.
Like he even worked as a policy advocate. So,
Yeah.
he really does bring this super well-rounded perspective.
Yeah, you don't see that too often.
But let's rewind a bit, take it back to the beginning.
Oh.
Part one of the book is titled The Personal Roots of a Sustainability Champion.
Catchy.
And it digs into Professor Denison's Tamil Jaffna heritage.
Interesting.
But it's not just, a history lesson. It's more like a journey of self-discovery.
Self-discovery. How so?
Well, he talks about how growing up, he was kind of disconnected from his roots. But then later in life, he takes this trip to Sri Lanka, and it totally shifts his perspective.
A trip can do that.
Yeah, and he's seeing, firsthand the struggles and the successes of his people.
Right.
And it ignites in him this really deep understanding of multiculturalism
I see.
and how important it is to embrace different perspectives.
That's powerful.
So essentially, you have this very personal pilgrimage
Yeah.
sparking a passion for inclusivity.
Wow.
It really makes you think about how everything is interconnected.
It really does. When you understand your own background, where you come from, your heritage, culture, it builds empathy. And empathy is crucial, especially when you're trying to create sustainable communities where everyone feels valued.
Absolutely. Everyone needs to feel empowered. And speaking of values, Professor Denison's Christian faith, it also plays a major role in his journey.
That's right.
And it's important to note that he doesn't just talk the talk, he walks the walk. He weaves sustainability into every aspect of his life.
He lives it.
Exactly. His commitment to leaving no one behind. It's not just some slogan for him.
Right.
It's like a core principle that really drives his work. It's not just about saving the planet, right? It's about building a just world, a fair world, where everyone can thrive.
I like that. A world where everyone can thrive.
So we've got this solid foundation now.
We do.
A deep understanding of his own roots, a commitment to inclusivity, and his faith. It acts as this driving force.
It's impressive.
Where does he go from there? This is like the origin story of a superhero.
It kind of is. And that trip to Sri Lanka, it wasn't just personal growth. It fueled his passion for community development. That's where we see him really take action with Malaysian Care.
Yeah, Malaysian Care. That was like his training ground.
Really?
He was so involved in social work and community development, like really hands-on stuff,
So we're talking like real grassroots activism. Boots on the ground, working directly with people.
Absolutely.
That
It was
is-
serious dedication.
It really is. And then from there, he makes this like huge jump.
He does.
He goes from pastor to policy researcher,
Yeah.
working directly with a cabinet minister.
It's a big leap.
That's a total 180. How does that even happen?
That's Professor Denison for you. He never backs down from a challenge.
Yeah.
And what's really interesting is that it wasn't him rejecting his past work.
Right.
It was him finding a way to make a bigger impact.
I see.
So by being involved in policy, he could create change that helped entire communities.
Yeah, it's like zooming out to see the bigger picture. Exactly. And all of these experiences, working at the local level, national, even with the UN,
Right.
it gave him this huge well of knowledge.
It's like he's got the street smarts and the policy know-how.
And that's a powerful combination.
Yeah, it is. And it leads him to the Malaysian CSO SDG Alliance.
Oh, yeah. Tell me about this one.
So this alliance brings together all these different organizations,
Like what kinds?
like NGOs, businesses, community groups,
Okay.
and they all work together towards the Sustainable Development Goals.
So it's really highlighting how no one can do this alone.
Exactly. It takes partnerships. A willingness to share knowledge and resources.
It does. And speaking of partnerships, Professor Denison was also instrumental in setting up the all-party parliamentary group Malaysia on SDGs.
The APPGM-SD.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
And this group is unique because it brings together politicians
Oh, wow.
from across the entire political spectrum.
So they can agree on something.
They can, and their approach is very practical. They figure out what communities need and then fund micro-projects to meet those needs. And they use all that data to inform national policy.
So it's not just talk. They're making change happen. What kinds of micro-projects?
Well, Professor Denison talks about this one project where they provided solar-powered water pumps to a rural community.
Wow.
And it did so much. It improved access to clean water, a basic human right.
Right.
But it also helped them move away from using fossil fuels.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
It tackles like a million issues at once.
It does. Health, clean energy, sustainability. It shows you that even small projects can create huge positive change.
They have a ripple effect.
They do. And you can really see Professor Denison's background and experience shining through here.
I could see that.
He understands how to connect all the dots and how issues that seem separate are actually all linked together.
Okay, so we've seen him in action. From community work to influencing policy at the highest levels.
He's been busy.
He has. But what are his big picture thoughts on sustainability? Does he have like any guiding principles or frameworks for tackling this huge issue?
He does, and he explains it all in part 3 of the book, Key Insights. This is where he moves from personal stories to the practical side of things, how to put his ideas into action.
Part 3, Key Insights. So this is where he lays out his sustainability playbook.
Yeah, you could say that. It's a mix of advice and like deeper reflections, on the challenges and opportunities in creating a sustainable world.
Yeah.
And this is where all those diverse experiences we talked about earlier,
Right.
They really pay off.
Yeah.
He really digs into how social work and the economy and even parliament, how it all connects to the SDGs.
That interconnectedness again,
Yeah.
he keeps bringing us back to that.
Mm.
But for someone like me, not a policy expert, what's the takeaway? How can I apply these key insights to my own life?
Well, that's what's so great about this book. It's not just for academics or politicians.
Right.
Professor Denison wants everyone to feel like they can make a difference. He has this whole chapter on the social and solidarity economy. Have you heard of this?
Vaguely. I mean, it rings a bell, but I couldn't give you a definition.
Okay, so it's this economic model that focuses on social and environmental well-being over profits.
Okay.
So think things like cooperatives, fair trade businesses, ethical investing.
Okay.
And Professor Denison argues that this approach is key to achieving the SDGs because it shifts our focus from what I get to what we get as a collective.
That's really interesting. So it's not just about, buying less plastic. It's about supporting businesses and systems that reflect your values.
Exactly. You're voting with your wallet.
I like that. And there's this quote that really sums up Professor Denison's whole philosophy.
Oh, yeah. What is it?
Sustainability is not a destination. It's a continuous journey of learning, adapting, and collaborating.
That's so true. It's not about reaching some perfect endpoint. It's about constantly learning and working together.
Right. And he wants all of us to be like trailblazers and pathfinders on this journey.
We can all be part of the solution.
It's not about waiting for someone else to fix things. It's about taking action ourselves.
Absolutely.
This has been such an eye-opening deep dive.
It has.
We started with Professor Denison's personal journey.
Yeah.
And now we have all these practical strategies for creating a better world.
It's really inspiring.
It shows how powerful it can be when someone is dedicated and has so much experience like he does.
And it shows that no matter who you are or what you do, you can help create a more sustainable future.
Totally.
Yeah.
Whether it's supporting ethical businesses or pushing for change in your community or even just learning more about these issues.
Every little bit counts.
It really does.
Mm.
And if you're feeling inspired and want to dive deeper into Professor Denison's ideas, you should definitely check out Walking in the Footsteps of Faith.
It's a great read.
He offers really specific strategies and examples that you can use in your own life.
So helpful.
So as we wrap up, think about what resonated with you most from this conversation.
Okay.
What's one thing you can do today to make a difference?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. And remember, as Professor Denison says, sustainability is a journey, not a destination. Keep learning, keep exploring, and keep making a difference.